Hey everybody, Hindi and Chayale here, and we are here to give you some bad advice. Just kidding. We are going to share with you some bad advice that we have heard, and we kind of want to nitpick and tear apart what we don't like about it and see what you think.
Okay, I have some advice for you. Let me know
All
what you
right,
think.
I'm ready. Let's go.
So, to keep your relationship thriving and strong, you should go out on a date night at least once a week.
I actually love that advice. It sounds like so much fun. Sounds like the ideal world. Yes, let's go out, please. Um, so it's actually great advice when it comes to like, why don't you do this to connect with your husband? I feel like similar to what you said recently, which was like, if you make this statement and it's like absolute and it has to fit for every single couple, that's when it starts getting a little sticky. So like, let's say it doesn't work out that they could do that in their schedule. What then? What happens then? Because if women start believing like this is the only way to have a good relationship, if we go out, like I've heard rabbis say this is what makes a good relationship. I know you have a good relationship if you have a date night. It starts getting very extreme and limited.
Mm.
So that's where the struggle is.
Yeah, there's a tremendous amount of pressure.
Mm,
Date nights could also be like a massive expense for people.
mm,
Um, so it could be, it could become a financial issue, create a lot of tension around that. Um, Organization. This is a lot. Like, I think most people who have families and lives know that a lot actually goes into making a date night happen. So it's a very high expectation to
right.
have one weekly. So it depends on like the stage that you're in is going to make a big difference. Like, did you just have a baby? Do you have little children at home? Are your children grown up and out of the house? Like, again, there's going to be so many factors that make it easier or harder, where you live, what you have access to. So creating that expectation, like you said, and narrowing a good relationship down to a couple that goes out every week, has a good marriage, and everyone else doesn't, um, can really, really hurt people to believe in. And again, this is definitely something that I've spoken to people about. It's come up in conversation, like as an absolute need, and a woman feeling like stressed that it's not in her life and not a part of her life, and that her relationship is suffering because of it. Um, and I think that it maybe goes into like a broader challenge of narrowing connection. This is how connection will happen.
Right. Right. Or this is what connection looks like. Um, I also hear like what you were saying about pressure and expectation. I'm just going to add another nuance where I think oftentimes a woman will have the expectation that he organize it, and that just brings a whole nother element of friction and challenge to date night. Like if it's all on him and she wants to feel like he's taking her out and he's the leader. So if they're already struggling in that area of him showing up for her in whatever way, to start bringing this as an added pressure and basically silent rebuke, it it just becomes a really not fun night and very loaded and heavy. And I've heard from numerous people where you can go out and there's just this stony silence. So that's definitely not creating anything. And that, in fact, can end up just being a very painful experience instead of a connecting one.
Yeah, like you could be having these date nights weekly and hating each other for it.
Right, right.
So it could have the opposite effect, meaning it's not, because the date night itself is not what creates a good marriage.
Right, right.
So
Like
that's very.
technically, if we look at the ideals of what is supposed to be behind a date night and why I think so many people say that it's important, I think it's so important that you have space for one another, just like space to spend time with one another where children aren't involved or like jobs or work or stress is not involved. Like, yes, that is so important where there's space in the relationship where it's not all technical. Love that, right? Does it have to be once a week? Does it have to look like going out? The other piece that I love about it is that you want a lightness in the relationship. Not everything should be so heavy and intense. And I think going out is supposed to have that element, but nobody talks about that. So it could be a very stressful and intense experience. We're going out as opposed to what what it's supposed to be, which is like something that's light and beautiful and connecting.
Yeah, because
So
it's so heavy with expectation, very often it's a very, like you said, it's a very loaded night. And we also tend to focus on how the other person's showing up. Did he plan it? Did he want to plan it? How well did he plan it? And we're not thinking about the energy that we're bringing on the date and how we're showing up. So that's also.
yeah. So for that reason, to say that your relationship is determined by your date night once a week, I take a hard pass on that.
We would love to hear your feedback, thoughts, and questions.
Please leave a comment below or email us at yourrelationshift@gmail.com.
Looking forward to connecting with you.
See you next time.